I'm Andrew Henderson, nomadcapitalist.com. This is the Nomad Capitalist Report. Alex Backus is with us from alexinwanderland.com. And every once in a while, it's nice to just get into something a little bit more fun. Talk about global lifestyles, talk about traveling, talking about finding new opportunities. And we're going to do that with Alex, who has traveled all around the world, from Asia to the Caribbean, to parts all over Europe and North America. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
One thing I wanted to start with, because you are the typical person who goes and travels around the world, people associate with traveling, young and adventurous, and I wonder, for people who may not fit that exact criteria, or they think that they don't fit the exact criteria of someone who should be traveling, I wanted to talk about things you've accomplished on your travels. You are a dive master, you're a diving enthusiast, and you talked about accomplishing a lot of goals that you may not have gotten to at home by being in these great diving places. Can you talk about how that motivated you to get more done, or do you think that you would have gotten it done at home?
Well, diving has been a great motivator for me in my travels. I do work online, so I spend a vast majority of my time with my laptop as my fifth limb. So diving has been a great outlet for me to just shut the laptop, get out, and explore these places I'm going, commune with nature, and get to know people. And as far as people who feel like they don't fit that 20-something gap year travel mode, I think diving can be an excellent way to, like a safe mode to get into traveling. My dive master course I spent 2 months living in Indonesia, and within a very short period of time, I really immersed myself in the community there because I was connected with the dive shop. I was working every day. I was friends with both locals and expats, and I was learning something. And now at the end of it, I have a certificate where I could actually use that to go and find diving work. So it's a great way to kind of go to a completely new place and immerse yourself in it, learn something, and kind of have a safety net of a program around you.
One thing that we often talk about here is the idea of really discovering other cultures as the entryway to opportunity, the entryway to finding more freedoms, be it personal or otherwise in life. But the one thing that sticks out to me is that not only are you going and making money in these places, but you're doing other accomplishments that are more than so many people do. And I have to wonder, you go to the average person lives in a city, and people come and visit them, and they do more things than the actual person living there. I wonder if there's a better work-play balance for you being in these places where you're on the laptop and you're doing work, but you also have something else that is new to you and gets you out of the work element and kind of gives you a better work-play balance. Am I onto something there?
Yeah, I really do agree with you. I say sometimes people will see me working in hostels all day, and they're like, why did you even bother coming here? Like, well, hey, even if I work, a regular 8-hour day on my laptop and I'm in Thailand, at the end of the day, I can go out, do a local market, have a chat with the street vendors, try some new food I've never had before, and even just doing that for dinner, whereas if I was at home, I might heat a lean cuisine in my microwave. That kind of gives me a more enriching experience. Just getting out of, I think routine can lead to a rut, and living a lifestyle where you have no routine really helps you get outside the box.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of the things. I know you spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia. We're here in Cambodia broadcasting. Talk about some of the things that you've seen in these countries that, like you're talking about, they're emerging. They have new things cropping up. People are in a state of transition. What do you see in these emerging countries that stands out, both culturally or in other ways, that says, you know what, this is a place I think is really going somewhere?
Interesting question. I think the nice thing, what attracts so many expats to living in Southeast Asia is that there is this strong sense of cultural identity, but as you said, they are emerging, they are entering the Western world, or Western, thoughts of business, and you can have a lot of the comforts of home. You can have great internet connections so that you can broadcast a radio show from Cambodia, and you can still go out and see a very traditional way of life after. So I really like that balance of being able to kind of run business, but also immerse yourself in something pretty traditional.
What places did you find, and perhaps the answer is all of them, but what places did you find were most open to what you were doing? Where did they really get it? Where did they say, hey, this is a way for someone to make money? They come here, they bring the laptop, they're doing this and this. I think that certainly some of these cultures, as entrepreneurial as they may be, sometimes out of necessity, they don't always grasp the idea of location independence. Is there somewhere that stands out that you think really gets this trend more than somewhere else?
I think Thailand is kind of, I would say, like a global hub of location-independent people. Anytime I'm there, I can sit down in a cafe with Wi-Fi and kind of wave at the next guy, and we know what we're doing. And there's a huge community of expats that all work online everywhere you go, and I think we're all attracted to the same things. There's a low cost of living. There are those technological necessities you need, and it's a great quality of life.
One thing that we're talking to Alex back is her website, alexinwanderland.com, and it's a fun website for people just looking to investigate traveling, but also accomplishing things while traveling, not just getting out there for a week, but really immersing yourself in the culture, the way we talk about, the way that opens yourself up to new ideas, but getting things, personal goals accomplished as well. Alex, the reason that we found your site was you were talking about Vietnam. We were in Vietnam. You were talking about scams. Talk about some of the experiences there that turned you off, and do you think that it's really as bad as some people make it out to be?
Well, Vietnam, I've been to most countries in Southeast Asia at this point, and if you did hold a gun to my head and force me to rank them, for me, based on the experience I had there, Vietnam would be at the bottom. I don't doubt that other people have had wonderful experiences there, but for me, it was a challenge. It wasn't so much the big scams, because I've experienced those absolutely in other countries. I had a motorcycle stolen in Laos. I had a landlord kick me out of my house with 24 hours notice in Thailand. But for me in Vietnam, it was the relentless accumulation of tiny little scams so many times a day that really wore me down. And by the time that I left to fly back to Thailand, I remember bursting into tears on the plane. I was so happy to go back to Thailand.
Give us an example, though. Give us something that people should look out for.
When we would go to leave our bike outside a shop and run in and buy something, someone would appear and demand that we pay them money to watch the bike, even if one of us was already standing there with it. Or when we went to pay, the official parking fee outside a museum, there would be a very big sign with a listed parking fee, and the parking attendant would have a little piece of paper, cross it out, write something twice the price, and hand it to us as if we weren't, watching that happen. So just little things like that, kind of over and over again.
I've talked about the idea that I think that a place like Vietnam, and certainly this is many places in Southeast Asia, where you have the guy who can set up his own little shop. Each guy who oftentimes is in cahoots with the authorities. He has his own little stretch of sidewalk. He charges you what he wants. And maybe there's a scam element to that. But I wonder, and I kind of think it's the price of having a lot bigger freedoms, where you might get a $600 traffic ticket for going through, whatever, for turning too fast right on red in the United States. And that 50 cents is a great price to pay to kind of rid yourself from some of that. Do you share that, or you disagree?
I do agree with that, and I do see your perspective. Like when I wrote a big post about coming to terms with what was a pretty traumatic experience for me in Thailand, having a landlord kick me out of a place that had become a home for me, which was, I later found out, someone had offered twice as much money as I was paying. It was just as simple as that. And while it was a traumatic experience, I did reflect upon the fact that, when I moved to Thailand, I looked around, picked an apartment, and moved in the same day. There was no background checks, no credit checks. There was just a whole element of bureaucracy was gone, and I found that so freeing. And the same thing when I bought a motorcycle. No checking my license, no checking my credit. Just here's my money, here's your motorcycle. So I do think that you're right. It is a kind of tax that you pay in a way, and in many other aspects, life is easier.
And it's miraculously, none of us are dead. It doesn't seem. You wonder how much some of this all accomplishes in some places. But on that train of thought, I wanted to get into something else. I had this experience not long ago where I was here in Phnom Penh, in Cambodia. There was a 20,000 person demonstration disputing the election results in a park. It's been an ongoing issue, and they were there, and no one I talked to even knew what was going on. None of the expats, a lot of the people who live here, they didn't even know. But so many places you turn on the TV, and if CNN were to cover that, it would be like bombshell revelation in Cambodia. They would make it out like it's like the whole country's burning down. Talk about your experiences with these places that they say, red alert, don't go. And maybe you found it's nothing like that.
Oh, I totally agree. When I traveled to the Bay Islands, there was a travel warning blanketing the entire country of Honduras. Yet, we didn't feel a single ripple of tension that was taking place across the country in the capital. We were, sipping mango smoothies in Utila, and could not have been more clueless had I not gotten the email from the Department of State. And when the red shirt protests were going on in Bangkok, to the rest of the world through the media, it looked like, the city was burning and the country was on fire. And my friends in Koh Tao were posting status updates on Facebook about, having a day off in the hammock. So I totally agree with you. Those are unfortunately more or less useless.
I would even say the same thing about tourist warnings. I almost have given up, not that I spend much time actually touristing anymore, but I've given up asking people at 5-star hotels for their recommendations, or asking, because they always say, take a taxi even if it's 5 feet away. But I've also given up even looking for suggestions, not from blogs like yours, but from just the general people commenting on what's going on, because people, some of these sites tell you that there are no streetlights in Phnom Penh. Some of this stuff is just outrageous, even from the travel community.
You have to take online ratings, I think, with a grain of salt. I do like to sometimes look at TripAdvisor, those websites. Not so much to look for hotels and restaurants. Sometimes for restaurant suggestions if I'm looking for something for a special occasion, or if I want to find kind of an offbeat attraction that might not have a website in a lot of developing countries. There might be a little cooking class that has gotten great attention online, but they haven't set up their own website. So I think it can be helpful for things like that. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm more likely to just wander around the street corner and look for the yellow rice and chicken lady than to spend all day scouring some app
trying to make it perfect. Right? Is there one place or more places maybe that you would not go?
Funny enough, I in my travels have befriended many South Africans who have, in their stories, led me to believe that I'll be shot on arrival if I ever go to Johannesburg. I would still love to travel to South Africa, hopefully, but I think based on the personal warnings I've heard from my dear friends who have left there to escape that violence, I think I would go with much more caution than I travel to other areas.
Would you be joining me in North Korea?
I would be interested to go. I believe you have to be pretty heavily supervised there. Am I wrong?
Absolutely. But I think we come back just all right. Alex from AlexInWonderland.com. It's your website on not only on travel and not only on freeing yourself from a lot of the general mindset that so many people around you have, and getting out there and finding freedom, but finding a way to accomplish things in a way that you wouldn't just sitting at home. Alex, thanks for being our guest.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm Andrew Henderson. This is the Nomad Capitalist Report.